everyone, this is P4L. In today's P4L review, we'll be taking a look at the new reformatted R-11 Seraphicus Prominon, or Prominon? I'm not really sure. But we're actually taking a look at both parts. So here's the core bot over here, and then we have the armor on this side, which also acts as a trailer. So let's actually go ahead and get started with packaging review with both of these. So first off, very similar packaging that we've always gotten, nothing really new here. Same window box. This is pretty cool, so they have this artwork here, but it also has a silhouette of the armor add-on in the background, which is kind of nice. A lot of promo images back here, and you can see him in his robot, his alt mode, and then his fully armored mode, which again, you're going to need the trailer here to do. It doesn't show it with the trailer here. This box is quite huge, and it has a very interesting wraparound design for the artwork. And you can see it goes up like this, and the flip window here is this way, and you can get a nice view of the armor in there. And again, the same kind of silhouette with the wings on that side. Not much going on these sides here, but on the bottom you get some warnings, and on the back is where you get a lot more photos of him in his fully armored mode. The trailer's down here, and then you can see his sword, all these kind of flying poses and so forth, and then you can actually get to see a lot of the translucent orange wings. Alright, so let's get these guys out of the box and see what comes with them. Alright, so out of the clamshell packaging, you do get all this, and there's a lot more in here than what appears to be. So let's go ahead and get some of the basic stuff out of the way. You do get this stack card, bio card, whatever you want to call it. Let's zoom in real quick. This is the only card you get, and it's the fully armored version. And you get a bunch of specs here, lots of 10s. Pretty standard for a prime, I guess. The instructions only come with the core bot, and it actually does include all the instructions that you'll need for both the core and power armor, is what they call it, or the power cradle. They give it a couple different names. The instructions are not too bad, better than typical, honestly, MMC stuff. But let's go ahead and actually get through this instruction pretty quickly. And you also get a cool concept art of their upcoming figure. It looks like Oberon, and then the comic on the back. And this is issue 11, The Raid Part 3. So talking about what comes with the core bot itself, you actually get the core bot and these two swords. And they're the same kind of swords, I think, that came with, what's his name? Hexatron, the original Hexatron. And they're in translucent blue, and I believe they glow in the dark, but I actually haven't tested them out yet. The core bot comes out like this in packaging, and this is actually not fully transformed. Depending on the pictures or promos you see, these kneecaps actually come up and peg in here. Come on. Legs split apart, and the backpack actually isn't pegged in. So the backpack has these kind of two clips here that go into the backpack, so you have to raise it up, and that's the official, I guess, robot mode. Again, the kneecaps kind of vary depending on which promo images you look at, but I think it looks best this way. So that's what you get with the core bot. With the power armor, you get a few more things. You get this gun, so be careful, this is actually in a separate baggie that is attached to the back of the clamshell for the trailer or the power armor, and it's going to be very easy to miss. So if you don't collect your boxes and you just throw out your packaging, be sure not to throw this away. It actually has the chamber actually rotates, which is nice, a nice added detail, and nice molded detail as well. So a typical handgun. I don't know where you're supposed to place it. I've been just placing in this little slot up here. He also comes with a sword that pegs in right here. It doesn't peg in, it slots in, and it comes out. And also a very nice translucent blue, kind of purplish color to it, and mostly painted with silver. And you can see here it has the embedded matrix on the inside, which is very cool. So yeah, that's really what you get with the trailer. As far as the armor, we're gonna actually get to that a little bit later. For now, let's go ahead and get this out the way. And let's do a review of the core bot. And we're going to do something a little bit different. Oh, I'm sorry, you had to get these shoulder pads up as well. So we're going to do something a little bit different when we go into transformation, just because it makes a lot more sense to go from both alt modes to the robot mode, to the armory mode, and then into the armored up mode, as opposed to going out of the box, which is the way I typically do it. But you'll see both directions, so you'll have all that. The other thing I wanted to mention is I've already talked about this before, and just a quick disclaimer: I do the official transformation or video manuals for MMC. They've asked me to start doing that as far as a couple months ago, and I think I've been very straightforward with straight up with that. I've been telling everyone at the beginning. I've been definitely sharing that. I know I mentioned as a disclaimer in the beginning of a few of the videos, but I do official work for them, and I do get compensated for that work. But I just wanted to make it clear that I don't get compensated or paid to give them reviews or positive reviews, but I do have some kind of relationship with that. So if you feel my reviews may be biased because of that, I totally understand, but I've always been upfront about that. So I just wanted to let you know once again, because people have been accusing me of being a shill and so forth, and I just want to put that out there. If you think my reviews are biased because of the work I do with them, I totally understand, and you can definitely go elsewhere for your reviews, but I've always prided myself on being very straightforward and honest with my reviews and not letting any things like that influence me. So they are not a sponsor of these reviews, is what I'm getting at. Only Toy Doja is my only sponsor for reviews. So with that all out of the way, if you're still watching, we're going to go into robot mode review first. So very quickly with the accessories, you can place them in the hands. The easiest way to get the hands to hold them, I found, is to actually come in like this and have the sword, the thinner part of the sword, go in, and then rotate it counterclockwise in the right hand. It actually rotated towards the thumb. And I find that is the easiest way to do that, and then you can close up the hands. It's much easier than just trying to jam it in. And especially with translucent plastic, you want to be careful, so just want to give you that tip. In addition to holding them, he can actually store them back here. You want to have the blade side facing inward towards the body, and there's two slots down here that you can slide them into, and they'll go all the way down. Sometimes they get caught on something, and I'm not really sure what, but you can do that on both sides, like so. So they're sheathed on his back, which is very cool looking. Let's just get these out of the way for now. Doing a quick 360. This guy's been in the making for, I think, something like they said 4 years now. It was first revealed or teased like 3+ years ago, and a lot of people have been excited because he's a Prime based off of Nova Prime, and it's been a long time coming. That said, you can definitely pick up some of the designs that are very similar to the figures that came out around that time. So like a lot of the Feralcons, their Predacons share a very similar style and design. Like with the legs, they remind me very much of Talon and their other Limbot, and I can't remember their name. But yeah, the tiger one, the saber-tooth tiger one. The arms are very similar in build and design. The hands obviously stay true to the MMC kind of style of the kind of half circle. But yeah, a lot of the design and transformation seems very similar, but this guy has a lot of cool, unique things as well. As far as the head sculpt, I really like this head sculpt here for the core bot. I don't really like the helmet, which we'll look at a little bit later, but it looks very nice. It's on it looks like double ball peg. So there's one at the base of the neck down here, and then there's one at the back of the head right there. And yeah, so you get a lot of articulation in the head and neck. However, I do think it does suffer from, you know, this really thin neck back there. It does look kind of silly, but you usually can't see it, so I guess it's not too bad. But the overall molding and details on this guy are really nice. You can see a lot of not only paint applications around here. Most of all the silvers paint applications. There's yellow. There's probably a little bit of blue. Yeah, I think all these are paint applications. But then, in addition to that, there's a lot of translucent pieces that are like tabbed on as part of armor. So these are actually separate pieces, blue pieces that are painted silver, and that's translucent. You can see through that. Same thing with the arms here. Same thing with a lot of the backpack here, where the alt mode windows kind of are. The one thing I will say is this white is kind of not matching this white plastic very well. But I think that's like one of the only places where I noticed that white paint. Otherwise, he looks very nice, very white, but a lot of cool dark blue accents and gunmetal gray accents as well. So I like that. One other feature that he does have, or accessory does have, is this matrix. So if you pop open his chest panel, he has a tiny little matrix in here, which is silver and blue, translucent blue, very tiny. And he does have a little bit of molded detail in here. You can see the molded grips in there. He can probably hold it decently well, but his hands don't actually, you're not going to be able to use all the fingers to grab onto it. But yeah, it does have a little set of tabs in here that you can just push that on and close it up. As far as articulation goes, we already went with the neck. His shoulders are on rotating hinges for transformation, so you kind of get shoulder articulation going back and forth. He does have a swivel there and a swivel out this way. It is kind of restricted by his shoulder pauldron, I think that's what people call it. I honestly don't know. So you can get it kind of in different positions, but you are gonna have some restriction. And for a transformation joint in here, there's actually another joint that you can rotate around, but it's not really suited for articulation purposes. It's kind of there for transformation only. He does have a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. He does have a forearm swivel down here, also for transformation. His fists are on a ball peg at the base, so not at the fist itself, but actually at the wrist. And then his fingers, his thumb is on a ball joint, and then each individual finger is pinned at the base of the hand, but they are all individually articulated. So you may have initially thought that they're all one piece because they're very tightly bound together, but there are actual individual fingers there. So yeah, there we go there. These shoulder pieces, I wish they kind of locked into place more, because you do get some articulation, but depending on how you do it, it actually pushes the backpack off a bit. His waist swivel is 360. No ab crunch or anything like that. He does have ratcheted hips that go forward, not a lot. If you can see in here, he actually runs into some interference there, so not a lot going forward. Much more going back, almost 90 degrees. He can go out further than 90 degrees on the leg. He does have a oddly placed thigh swivel, kind of mid-thigh. I actually would have liked it better if it was at the upper thigh. This just seems kind of odd, and I think it would have looked a lot better up here. And then he has ratcheted knees that go 90 degrees. And then the foot is on a swivel here, but it also has a little bit of ankle tilt going in, not really any going out. So you can get forward and back, but that's about it. Alright, here is Commodus, the remold of Spartan, so you'll get an idea of how he scales with them. He's a bit taller, with Voyager Brainstorm, so he's about the same height, a little bit taller than Voyager Brainstorm. This is the Takara Legends version. And then the obvious comparison, which we'll do some more of later, is with Make Toys Hypernova, or Hypernovae, I don't know, there's a weird spelling. So you can see he's much taller. The white here is a little more off-white, and this one is very bright white. Alrighty, so here we are in alt mode, so this is kind of the starting place we'll work from. You can bring in the trailer. It does have a little peg here that pegs into the top, which is kind of odd. It reminds me of that that Bumblebee Prime video, the Bumblebee trailer. There's actually a Volkswagen trailer that plugged into the top of a Volkswagen. But in any case, it's not particularly functional. You can basically go straight and, oh, I guess you can get clearance. It runs into a little bit of interference up here because the kneecaps hit that. But I guess it can turn, but it definitely does run an interference. You might be able to get a little bit better off if you do this. No, because then the kneecaps cause interference. So they didn't design this all too well with the hitch. It does look really nice though. It's very massively long. As far as alt mode review of this guy goes, he looks really nice in this mode. A very kind of Cybertronian, futuristic looking alt mode, but I don't love it. It's pretty sleek, but I think some of the back parts are a little exposed here. The wheels are cool. These caps actually cover the wheels, so you do have 6 wheels to actually roll. The front bumper is really nice. It has a nice grille here. I do like the translucent blue. I think that's what really sells it for me, this mode. I wish there were a little bit more paint apps here on the side panel. But I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It's a cool Cybertronian alt mode. I don't know a lot about this character because I only read More Than Meets the Eye from now. And so I wasn't around when this guy's kind of story came about. And again, this white is very bright here. It doesn't really match the other white on the plastic. But it's a small place. You can actually use the pistol here as well if you wanted to plug that in. It's a bit of a tighter fit, but I would just be careful just because this is painted and you don't want to damage that. The trailer itself is pretty well self-contained. You can see it's very, I guess, Ultra Magna-ish in my mind, in that there's a lot of struts and frames. It's not like a box that opens up like Optimus Prime. He does also have 6 wheels down here. You can see the thrusters on the back here, and on the inside you can see a lot of the armor that comes with it. But yeah, paint apps in this mode are on the trailer are a bit few and far between, aside from the necessary ones here for the blue and a little bit of yellow orange and a little bit of silver, and some up here as well. Alright, so as far as alt mode comparisons real quick, let's go ahead and bring out Hypernova, or Hypernovae, however you pronounce it. And you can see it's a much smaller figure in all dimensions. He's a lot smaller here, a lot shorter here, a lot less height, and width-wise, he's also massively smaller. Alright, let's get him out of the way. And I think, before we get rid of him, I think it does a much more solid job of, Make Toys does, MMC does a much better job of getting the trailer kind of all contained and not looking like a lot of stuff just hanging off. But again, that's also because of the fact that it has this entire cage that isn't part of the transformation. So, obviously, Make Toys wanted to get an all-in-one kind of using all parts kind of thing, while MMC took a different approach. Another kind of trailer-ish toy, I guess, is Fans Projects Steel Core. So again, just showing you how much larger this guy is than a lot of other figures. Sorry about that. But yeah, hopefully that gives you a pretty good idea of what you're getting into in terms of size and comparisons. And last but not least, let's go ahead and bring in Roadbuster, Generations Roadbuster, just to give you an idea how big this guy is by himself. Well, I guess I should show you guys what he looks like compared to Make Toys Hypernova just in the cab mode. I do like this mode a lot just because it looks more like a traditional semi than this one, but again, this is supposed to be kind of Cybertronian in nature. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into transformation now. So let's go ahead and get this guy out the way. So the transformation is pretty complex on this guy. There are a lot of clearances that make me a little nervous, but still a pretty cool transformation. And obviously you can see it's pretty clean on the back, or on the underside. So the first thing you want to do is come to the underside, and there are a couple of tabs on the back here and here and the front. You just kind of want to open it up, and the fists, you want to make sure you clear these fists. You just want to open it up just a little bit, and then there are tabs here and here, as well as tabs on this kind of strut here. And you just want to pull forward on this to kind of release that, and then there's tabs on the front. So once you release the back, you can pull on the sides and push on the front of the hood, and that will kind of release everything, as long as you get clearance from those fists. Come on. There we go. Sorry, that one fist keeps getting caught. Once you do that, you can fold in these side pieces, like so. You can see his head sitting right there. You're going to lift this up. I like to deal with the upper body first. So there's a tab here on each forearm that goes into the bottom of the foot. Just pull that out if it's not already. It was like this. You're going to want to pull that down and out. And these little wing thingies, I don't know why they included them. I guess maybe they're, I don't even think they're accurate to the character. I'm not really sure, since I've had to look up a couple of pictures. But they kind of get in the way. I actually wish that these weren't there. And they're also pieces that are pretty thin, and you could definitely easily break these, so just be careful there. Then you're going to go ahead and untab these, or unpeg these. There's actually small pegs in this translucent piece that go into that pinhole here. But you're going to go ahead and get these cleared, kind of straighten out the arms just a little bit. And then there's this inner rotating piece that talked about in the shoulder. You're going to want to push on that piece there. And you can see it's almost like gears, which is actually nice detail. There's a lot of molded detail in here that I didn't notice before. So go ahead and do that. Get it about halfway. You can bring out this shoulder pauldron and then rotate that, and then finish rotating it the complete 180 degrees to get it down to the other side. And you'll feel it kind of tab in or tab into place. Same thing on this side here. Rotate that around. Get the shoulder out. There we go. Let's go ahead and deal with the legs. So let's deal with the legs. Go ahead and open up these panels here. This is very reminiscent of the Feralcons. Go ahead and open that up and just pull. Come on. You can separate them or do them at the same time. I usually do it together, but they seem to be resisting this time. And he does have double jointed knees. I think I only mentioned one of the knee joints in the earlier part of the review, but he does have double jointed knees. The feet unpeg from a little peg down there. These tab in, and then just reach right here and open this small panel up to fill in that bit of a gap that was there. There's still a small gap, but much better filled than if you didn't do that. You can, again, depending on how you would like to display it, you can get these knee guards up and tabbed in. The upper body, you're going to want to use that double hinge up here, rotate that down. You're going to want to push that back, and it's going to sit behind these wings. So that's really the only purpose of these little wings, is to hold the upper body in place there. And then there's a little tab that goes right in there to the neck. And then the back, as we saw before when we unpackaged them, these two tabs go into the back, like so. Almost like clips. Rotate the head around on that double ball peg. Get the arms around the right way. To get the elbow, there's a distinct elbow right there. Get the fist rotated around. Like so. And once you have that all done, you're in robot mode again, which we were just here, so kind of deja vu, I guess. From here, let's go ahead and put him off to the side. Alright, so let's get the trailer in here. Go ahead and pull this gun off, put it off to the side. You can keep this sword in during transformation, but it actually causes some clearance and interference issues, and actually bends the hilt a bit, so definitely take it off. From here, you're going to come to the front and pull up on this blue piece. It actually splits in two, and you'll see the boots down here. Once you do that, you also need to free up the sides of the trailer. So there's a tab here and two pegs on each side. Just pull out. Oops, I unpegged that by accident. I was trying to get that pegged back in. So yeah, do that on both sides. And hopefully you don't unpeg any armor. You're going to fold this up and around and back on a series of hinges. Like this. This is going to come down like so. I did this without telling you, but fold this up. And this is going to come out. This is going to form the base, essentially, of the armory. I don't know, what do you want to call it. And then there's a little set of small pieces here that are going to clip in here. So you got to come in from the inside. Be careful, these are thin pieces, and you do have to push them in. So it's not likely to break unless like you're forcing it, and you don't need to move it that much, but just be careful just because they're thin. And from here, you just open up the armory, basically. And then you'll see that everything's laid out in a way, in a logical order, where the helmet's where it should be in relation to the chest and to the crotch plate, the legs, the feet, the shoulders, and so forth and so on. So this is how you get him in his armory mode. I'm not sure where you can store this gun here. I'm sure you can probably find a place to peg it in, like maybe back here, but there's no real logical place for it to be pegged in, I suppose. The sword, you can still kind of peg in like this, but it doesn't go all the way in, because this is where you start running into the interference that I was talking about before. So yeah, and the swords, these swords, I couldn't figure out a place for these to go. I'm sure there's probably somewhere that they can go, but by and large, that's about it. To armor this guy up, I'm just going to do one side on camera because it makes sense to just do one side. Go ahead and pull these off. They're all on these cylindrical tabs. And these are tabbed into the side. The leg pieces are tabbed into the side there. This foot piece is also tabbed in or pegged in. There we go. So let's do, I like doing the foot first. There's a large tab at the bottom of the foot. And I like to do this before I do the leg armor, just because it's harder to get that leverage to peg it in once the leg armor goes on. You have to have the kneecaps or knee armor up for this, so make sure you do that. This just wraps around like so, and then there's a series of tabs again that clip together. The shoulder piece has a couple of tabs in here that go into this slot where the mushroom peg actually sits. The shoulder piece has two tabs that go into the shoulders, like so. For the gauntlet piece, I actually think they could have designed this a bit better. Right as it stands, this just pegs into the back of the forearm here. I rotate this in when I do that, just because it hides the fist much better. I don't think they actually show that in the official manual, but I did the official video manual and that's what I did. I just think it looks better. But I actually think they could have done even better by rotating this and then having a peg hole in here and then going like this, because I think that would have been a lot cooler, because then you would have this painted detail on the inside as well as the outside. And I think that would have been a much better design, but I'm not a designer, so. But yeah, the way I do it is get the fist rotated and then peg in here. And this looks fine too. I just think it would have looked better to make use of that silver detail and paint and even the translucent stuff on the inside and make the inside of the arm look less plain. The fists are just on a swivel like that, And then let's get some of the other armor on. So there's a crouch place here. This tab is not that secure in holding it in, at least on mine. I wish they had done a little bit better on the tolerance there. This just clips into the front, and then underneath the crotch clips in onto the back, into that little screw hole here. And I actually like this, but be careful because this is very thin, and while these are on ball joints, this is actually based off of the design of the character, and it is actually just kind of like pipes or cylinders here, and that makes it very thin in some places. Just be very careful there. The armor and wings are pegged in with a series of pegs there. Open that up. There are small tabs here, and they fit on as you would expect. You just go ahead and get that above his head and around like so. You're just going to push down on the chest and it'll clip into place. There's also this flap here. There's actually a tab, 2 tabs in here that go into that small recess in his chest, and you'll feel that as well as some tabs there. Get his arms a bit out of the way and then close that up. And then the last part, or at least of half of the figure. Oh, actually no. There are some missile launchers on the side here. They have 2 tabs that go on the back of the leg. There we go. And the last piece is this helmet piece. This helmet piece also tends to fall off of the I guess holder. But go ahead and just plug that in. There's 2 halves and it pegs in to hold it into place. So give me a quick second and I'll put the rest of his armor on. You can see how different he does look on one side and the other. But yeah, let's go ahead and get him all armored up. Alright, so here we have him all armored up, and you can see his cage looks very empty now, or his armor looks very empty now. So we'll just get that out of the way very quickly actually. And then you can use the same weapons. You can still store the swords on his back like before. Come on, there we go. And then be careful with this sword, especially with the gauntlet. The tolerances are a little bit too tight in my opinion, and because it's translucent plastic, you definitely don't want to break it, but just apply even force across the area that you're pushing in and you should be fine. I guess I should throw this on too. So I like this mode. It's not perfect, and I'll talk about the areas where I think they could have done a little bit better. First you can hear a lot of the rattling. That's because of the wings, the translucent wings, which have a cool mechanism. You just pull on the very bottom one and they'll open up like this, but because they're kind of sandwiched all together and they're kind of thin pieces, they end up tapping each other quite a bit. But it is a very cool mechanism that they kind of unfurl by themselves. So you don't have to individually like mess with them to get them in a really nice position. It also comes with a series of hinges here, here at the base. It looks like it was supposed to be ratcheted, but I don't feel any ratchets in there. And then he also has a pin joint here that allows you to go forward and back a bit with them. But it is really nice set of wings. It's just that I feel like they don't look like the character, or at least what I've seen. Again, I don't know this character all that well, but it doesn't look like the wings that I'm familiar with Nova Prime from what I researched. Overall, he does look really good. I don't like the gunmetal here. I think it would have been better just to have the white. Maybe they wanted to break it up because there is so much white, but I think that's actually inaccurate as well. These shoulder pieces tend to fall off a lot just because they're small tabs and they have to go into that small groove. They're supposed to be angled up with this pointy side up. You can also do them the other way if you think that looks better. Either one works, but this way having it down interferes less with the shoulders, the shoulder armor. These little pieces I've already talked about. They're They're fine, just be careful because they are such thin pieces. The other part of the figure that I don't like on here is the helmet. And let's zoom in just a bit. And it's just because it's a helmet that's clipped on top of the existing head. And it makes it look a little silly, honestly. Yeah, brighten this up a bit. It makes it look a little bit silly because it just looks like he's wearing a big bucket on top of his head. And while the sculpt itself is fine, it just looks like it's too small. His face is too small for this helmet, like he's wearing his daddy's helmet or something like that. But if they had done maybe a new head or kind of G1 style where the helmet completely covered the original head, I think that might have been a bit better. Otherwise, I don't have really that much to talk about in this mode. He does have some more limitations in terms of articulation, I suppose, because of the larger shoulder armor, so you can't really get a lot of outward movement on the shoulders, which is really unfortunate. And then he does have a little bit more limiting factor for the hips because of the missiles. Not really any issues with the knees. His feet, if they had a little bit more ankle tilt, that'd be good. But since it uses the base foot articulation, you get just more limitation there just because of the additional armor and the additional feet here. So you can't get him in too wide a stance without his feet coming up. But it's significant. It's good enough. It's good enough, I suppose, if you want him in this very static pose. But I think you're going to have some issues with him doing more dynamic poses, like wider spread poses, and the shoulder going out that way, going out laterally. But otherwise, the articulation is pretty much the same. So yeah, a little bit of issues that I would have liked fixed, like improving the arm design there. The wings, I wish they were a little bit more accurate to the IDW one. The armor is really well painted though, which is nice. They didn't skimp on the paint just because it's armor. They have a lot of gunmetal, yellow, silver, white, all over the place. The wings even have some turbines that are painted gunmetal as well on the back end. It's a very clean design overall. So bringing out Hypernova, Make Toys Hypernova, you can see these wings are very much more accurate to the IDW design of Nova Prime. The head sculpt, it depends on which issue you're looking at. This kind of finned one is accurate to some, while this kind of horned one is accurate to others. As far as like overall accuracy, they do take most of the same cues with the chest and the crotch plate, the arms and the coloring and so forth, but they both deviate quite a bit from the original design. Like these shoulder things here aren't very accurate. Neither of them do the legs very well, but that's because basically the design for Hypernova has the kind of front cab, quote-unquote cab of his alt mode making up his legs, and neither do that here as the design. So they did have to make some sacrifices there, or adaptations if you want to call it. The backpack here is much I would say less attractive. It just has a lot of wheels, and then you see some just odd pieces, but they did design wise do an all-in-one, quote-unquote all-in-one trailer into armor, so there's no leftover pieces, while we saw before with MMCs that you still have that big cradle or armory frame left over. Alright, so going back is going to be going back in transformation. I'm not going to show you how to do all the removal of the armor because that just seems very basic. We're just going to go from the armory mode to the trailer and then this guy into his alt mode and finish off, okay? Alright, so just a few quick quote-unquote tips. When you put the gauntlets back on, they do have to be oriented in a specific way. You have to do it like this, where the opening is facing you, and you actually have to close up this flap, otherwise you can't actually get it stuck in. The other thing is with the wings, when you get them in, you have to have the hinge pieces level, and then the wings angled up here like this. And the reason you need to do that is because they actually peg in once you go ahead and transform it back. But yeah, that's basically it for those tips of getting it back into the cradle. Nothing complicated, so we'll go ahead and peg these in first, like so. And then these will close up like this, and you want to get them cleared. Clear the wings and then kind of fold around like so. On the back, go ahead and untab these. Remember, you can't just pull it out, you actually have to unclip them. This will flip around like so. We'll just leave that for now. Close this up, that will peg into place. And then when you come back around here, get these shoulder pieces kind of cleared out of the way. There we go. And then there's just a series of pegs that we dealt with before. So this tab here and 2 pegs on each side. There we go. And then these tabs here will tab in. Like that. Go ahead and slot the sword in. Go ahead and plug this wherever you want. There's a couple other ports as well if you want to do that. And there we go. There we have his trailer in alt mode. Alright, so transforming this guy, let's go ahead and deal with the kneecaps first. Knee armor, whatever you want to call it. Come in here, fold these in, fold these in. That little peg on the back of the heel, it's going to peg into that little peg hole. Alright. We need to get the backpack out of the way to get the legs folded in, so let's just go ahead and deal with that now. I like to deal with the legs individually when folding them up, just because it sometimes does have difficulty clearing the crotch. And you need to bend at the lower knee joint and then push it in when you get it all folded in to make sure it all actually goes into place. There's 2 tabs in the middle that will hold the legs together, the 2 halves of the legs together. There we go. Go ahead and grab these silver parts here and push on the little wing flap thingies. Again, be careful there. Once you do that, that'll free up the chest, free up the neck plate, and then this the roof is actually on a double hinge down here. So the lower hinge where the dark blue piece is kind of hard to see. It's down here, this kind of Y piece. You have to move that back so that this neck piece can fold in on itself. Just fold up the head thusly, get that in, and it'll sit in place there. Then you can flip up the chest. I'm going to rotate this in, fold in the armor, and again, using these geared kind of pieces here, you're going to rotate this all the way around 180 degrees on both arms. So when you're ready to deal with the arms before you fold them in, you got to get these all situated, the arms, lower arms as well. So you're going to want to turn these 90 degrees outward, and that will get the elbow joint in the correct orientation. Then you're going to turn this 90 degrees inward at that little lower forearm joint, and then flip the fist 180 degrees on that ball joint. Alright. Go ahead and get the arms kind of angled like this. And then when you fold this in, as I mentioned before, there's 2 small pegs in here on the translucent blue, which is going to be impossible to see on the camera, but they go into these little pin joints here on the shoulders. So go ahead and start rotating that in, and you'll have to feel that peg. There we go. I think I got both of them in there. Now you have to get the arms in and tab this into the bottom of the foot. To do that, make use of these double elbow joints and collapse them in on themselves. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but once you do it, you'll have it shortens the arms enough to get them in here, and then you'll see that dark blue tab on the forearm go directly into the foot, and you just need to kind of lock that into place. Again, be careful of this clearance here with these little wing pieces. You definitely do not want to break those. And keep the fist out kind of like this, because you're going to need this part to wrap around. So coming back around to the top, you'll have 2 tabs on the inner part of the legs, or ankles actually, that will go into these slots here. And then the 2 outer tabs here will have corresponding slots underneath the roof here and here. And I like dealing with those first. So you just need to push back on it, and you'll see how them click into place. They don't just tab, there's also a slot there that needs to kind of grab hold. There we go. Once you have that done, you can just push this tab here and these 2 tabs there in. I feel like some of the tolerances here are a little bit unnerving. They can get in, but it feels like you're forcing some of it more than you really should have to. Now, once you have that done, you have one more tab right in here, almost near the wheel well. It's hard to see, but you need to get that in. But you also want to make sure that the fist is out. And this is one of the most frustrating parts, is you need to get this around the fist, but the fist ends up rotating sometimes, and it just ends up being a problem. See, like that's what's happening now. So yeah, I finally was able to get the fist rotated around. There we go. This one, I don't know, somehow rotated by itself again, but yeah, I'm using my little spudger to basically get in the grip and rotate it around. That is easily the most frustrating part about this transformation for me, just because you can't reach in here because of these little wingy things. I wish they had done something better to hold the chest into place than these wings. But there you go. Once you have that all done, you have everything all tabbed in, you're good there. And then we can go ahead and bring the trailer out again. So, final thoughts on Seraphicus Prominon, or however you pronounce it. I really like the armored up mode. I like the core robot a lot itself. The alt mode combined looks really great, but I don't know. I mean, this looks kind of unassuming. I mean, just I don't have any attachment to this mode. I mean, it looks fine, but it doesn't really do a lot for me just by itself. I do wish it had a couple more accessories in terms of weapons, like a big rifle or blaster seems pretty iconic for a Prime to have. But it does come with a decent amount of other accessories, especially the armor, obviously. I guess the one thing I would say is, you know, aside from deciding whether you have an attachment to this character and this version of this character, I would say that the one thing that I would caveat is, while I would strongly recommend this core bot, along with its accessories, you know, the 2 swords, I do think that the value is there for that. I think it's around $85 or so, just for the core bot. But as a whole package, $200 seems a little high for this. Especially, I guess, kind of nowadays, where I think third-party prices have come down and have really become really competitive. I don't know that $85 for this, which equates to the rest of this being about, you know, $110, $115 or whatever, in that ballpark for the trailer and the armor. I don't know if I see that value there. If it was maybe double the price, you know, like $160, $170, I think that would be a really fair price for this whole set. But $115 when you think about it, just for the trailer and armor, it seems a little high to me. But again, I don't have a real strong attachment to this character itself, so that's obviously going to weigh into your decision. You definitely do get a lot. There's a lot of pieces here, a lot of plastic, a lot of moving pieces, so I know where the value goes into, I guess. But again, just breaking it down into the 2 components, it makes it a lot harder, I guess, to justify the $200 price tag on this. But yeah, that's it for the review today. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you liked the review and it helped you out, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. That'd be really great. And if you want to pick this guy up for your collection, you can go ahead and buy it from Toy Dojo by clicking on the link in the description below. Alright, that's all for today, everyone. Have a good one.